Awesome. Thanks for having me this morning. Got a bit of a man flu, so just a bit of a warning. I may cough up something that resembles a small animal at some point, so all you keynotes on the front row, you made your bed. So I want to tell you a bit about Printed by Us, how it all got started, where we're up to now, and where we want to take things and how you can get involved. So in the beginning, I've worked in the city centre for quite a few years now, and I'm sure anyone who's been in the city centre, you come across quite a lot of people who are vulnerable, who are homeless, or who have experienced homelessness. And yeah, so I'd come across them sort of on the way to work, on the way at lunch, on the way home, and I'd stop for conversation, say hi, every now and again bring an extra pack up or buy an extra lunch. But it all felt a bit quite short term, I always came away feeling a little bit heavy, like, oh, I want there to be something more that I can give them that's a bit more long term than just a meal. And so began sort of thinking this over. And chatted with my old colleague Tim, and he'd been sort of noticing the same thing, and and so we thought, how can we use creativity and enterprise to make a difference? So at the time we worked for Yumi Digital, who work with charities and not-for-profits and do creativity and tech for social good, and so we're kind of that mindset. And so, like a lot of great things, we went to the pub and talked about it, and we had some food, and we just kind of, hashed out like some of the different challenges around homelessness. And a big thing was obviously everybody's story is different. Everybody is, is in the position that they're in as a result of a combination of various challenges, whether it's sort of relationship breakdown, whether it's mental health challenges, whether it's losing a job, a million and one other things, substance misuse, and it was quite overwhelming. Like I came away from it just feeling quite heavy, just realising that it's such a big thing. I was hoping to basically bottom homelessness and solve it within the meal, but it turns out it's actually a bit more complicated than that. But my first thing and my way of crowbarring in Taboo is talk about uncomfortable things. And so there must be things that you've come across that bother you, that annoy you, that frustrate you. And I guess something that I've learned is to talk about them with other people, because it must be bothering other people rather than it just being this thing that you don't talk about. And it's not usual a thing you kind of go to the pub and you talk about your week and whatever, but to actually get stuck into a really heavy subject is, it's hard work, but really good. So at the time, me and Tim had both read a book by the founder of Tom's Shoes called Blake Makowski. If you've not heard of Tom's Shoes, they basically, for every pair of shoes they sell, it provides a pair of shoes for someone in a developing country who would usually cut their feet and would contract diseases that way. And so meeting a very simple problem, but in a very clever way, because it's a full-for-profit business. They do very well, but it's a social good, and people are buying something, they're getting something beautiful, and they're also giving back and making a difference. And so they're worth checking out if you've not heard of them, and the book is really good. And so we got thinking how we could apply that model to issues around homelessness and trying to make a positive difference. Yeah, and kind of this sentiment of making something beautiful that people can buy in order to do something good. So my other reference is this website called Be an Unfucker. And it's a really great website, Australian website. And it's talking about another issue that's quite big and can feel so overwhelming and quite paralysing, which is climate and climate change and sustainability. And that can feel really overwhelming. And the way they've done it is just really fun. They've made it quite provocative, but really young and youthful. It doesn't feel like being hit over the head. It feels like they're trying to address it. And that's the website if you want to check them out. But one of the simple premises is change one thing. So they're saying, in your weekly shop, why not buy fruit and veg that are in season rather than things that are being flown from all over the world? And a number of other sort of very accessible things like that. So all of a sudden it doesn't feel like such a huge issue that it's almost easier to ignore than try and engage with it because you don't know how to do anything relevant. So they're great. And they say we're hopeful. I really like that line. It's not kind of, say, beating people over the head. It's kind of saying, like, what can we do moving forward? How can we do things better? So the first idea was born, which was we could design a hot drinks flask and sell a hot drinks flask, and then for every hot drinks flask we sell, we'll give one to a vulnerable person who can then get it filled up at cafes around the city, which is like, oh, that's a genius first idea, that's really great. But we thought, rather than rushing out and getting prices and manufacturing and all that, we'd just listen and understand with people who have actually listen to people who are in that position, but also organisations and people who have worked with homeless and vulnerable people. And so I got in touch with the Archer Project, and they were just really open-minded, very impressed with Tim, the CEO. He's really up for new ideas, he's really up for kind of giving control and trying new things. And Terry as well, who's a key worker, it's just over there. And yeah, it was just really interesting just to hear their experience, and also sort of volunteering in Revive Cafe on a Saturday morning at the Archer Project and speaking to people, and basically realising that actually that wasn't the best idea, that wouldn't make an awful lot of difference, that isn't maybe quite right. So we're glad we kind of had that conversation. The idea was sell the drinks flask and then use some of the money to provide a meal for a homeless person as well, and that's another idea that we've explored. And SteamYard, I just want to give a shout out to them because they're great. They were really up for partnering, and we're looking to do something at some point in the future. So be cheeky was kind of one of my points. So if you're looking to do something of social good, and you can't do everything within yourself, that's just a fact. Try and partner with people who are really good at what they do. So SteamYard are great at making lovely sandwiches and coffee and whatever, or it could be, the artists that we've worked with. Find people who are amazing at what they do, love what they do, and then ask them if they're up for collaborating, because the chances are, if they love what they do, they'd love to do what they love to do for something good, if that makes any sense. So be cheeky and ask. Umi, so at the time I worked for Umi, and they give us investment time, which is a proportion of our working week, to spend on social good projects of our own. So we kind of brought it in-house and kind of unpacked it and explored the idea further with a number of my colleagues who really helped take it to the next level, really. And that's when the idea was born properly, because something that was a consistent theme from listening and talking to people was the desire for people to want to be part of something, not just to be given a handout, not to have something just provided for them, but to be part of their own solution and to learn new things. And so, oh yeah, there we go. And so within Umi we did a lean canvas, and we explored the idea more, and we arrived at the idea of, hey, why can't we create some great artwork, collaborate with some artists, and teach people how to hand screen print those designs, then we'll sell those designs, and then we'll use the money to go back into the project so we can fund more workshops so more people can take part. And thus Printed by Us was born. So the idea was kind of conceived from that, really. So the initial challenges was the assumptions that we had that we wanted to test. So would homeless and vulnerable people be interested in learning to screen print? Would they be able to print something of sellable quality, so quick enough that made it viable? Would artists be interested in collaborating with us? And then fourthly, would the people of Sheffield and beyond actually want to buy the prints and want to support what we do? And we've found that we've tested those assumptions, and other than the last one, people are really up for it, and it really is working. And so we began the process by, I went in and did some co-creation workshops within Cathedral Archer Project. So we basically said, this is a new pilot project, this is what we're doing, come along. And I sort of did a few a presentation, just said, it'd be great to get you involved. And so we had a few groups of people come along and get involved in the brand workshop and card sorting workshop, and it was really fun. It was really great. I was really amazed about the ideas that came out of it, that has really shaped and formed what Printed by Us is. It didn't want it to just be this thing, right, we're doing this new project. I really wanted people to feel part of it from its conception, which has worked. So this guy, that's James, back when he had hair. We shaved him just the other week to help with the streamline the screen printing, which has improved his efficiency no end. And the other partner was Sheffield Print Club. Who were just across the way, just around the corner. And they've just been so supportive in what they're doing. So in terms of the screen printing tuition, it's Sheffield Print Club who gives that. And they run lessons where you can go along and learn how to screen print, and I learned last summer, and I'd really recommend getting in touch with them if you're interested in doing something creative. So they've been amazing in running the tutoring, and so this was the first workshop. So in October we launched the first printing workshop, and this is the legend that is David Gassey, showing James the ropes. I'm just going to flick through a few others. So what has been amazing was actually quite surreal. So the idea was a good sort of year or so in the brewing, and then to actually be there and see it come together and see people really working together, and enjoying the printing, seeing like the artwork coming out really beautiful, was really surreal. This is our latest design by Tom Newell. So it's working in terms of the enjoyment that people are getting out of it, and just, yeah, there's kind of this reluctance when it comes to anything creative and artistic, like people don't class themselves as being arty, but to actually turn up and do something new, having the courage to turn up and do something new in a new environment with new people, takes a lot of courage, especially from people who've had challenging circumstances. And it's been amazing to see them like genuinely smiling and loving, doing the printing and seeing something that's really beautiful. And then people around the world kind of ordering it and then posting it out, doing the full processes. So it's working, which is amazing. So what next? So we've created our first 8 or 10 prints, which is brilliant, and they're good, they're going well. And we're looking to work with some more artists in Sheffield and further afield, and produce some more artwork. But also we're looking to expand into doing mugs and t-shirts and other ideas that will just expand the collection and just enable us more people to be involved from Archer Project who are at different stages in their journey. We'll be able to involve more people. So how can you get involved? As I mentioned, like our biggest challenge is actually spreading the word about the project, is actually people finding out, because when people come across the prints in a couple of shops that we've got them in, like they are selling well, and when people come across the project, feedback is very positive. And so the challenge is really just getting word out. So if you know any bloggers, or you are a blogger, or you know a site that you think would be interested in what we're doing, then I'd really love any recommendations that you have for me in terms of helping to spread the word. We're also going to be doing a ideation or sparking group, for want of a less wanky term, at Income Water at some point. We haven't got a date just yet, but we really want to explore. Printed Biology is just 6 months from being born, and we've learned a lot through it, but we think there's a lot of potential for engaging people using creativity and enterprise, at different stages on their journey to recovery. And so we'd just really want to kind of throw open the doors and say, we'd really love to hear ideas. So if you're interested, I've got a sheet ready to just put your email address and name and what evenings you're usually free, and I'll get in touch. So we're really keen for this to be just the start of the conversation, not we've solved homelessness, because we haven't. What can you do? This was just a scribble I did, and I thought it was quite amusing, so I thought I'd share it. Even just simple things like taking the change one thing kind of premise from the Be an Unfucker website, like bring an extra pack up once a month, or buy a meal every now and again, like say hello to people, because it sounds daft, but that actually really does make a difference. I do think a big thing is that it is a taboo. It feels awkward. We don't know what to do. It feels a bit powerless. It feels a bit pointless. Like, oh well, if I can't help the circumstance, there's no point in doing anything. But actually, that does make a difference. Giving someone worth, giving someone validity, by being nice and by getting involved, by buying prints, lots of prints. We've got a card machine, so. And finally, hope trumps despair. So I think that's a point for both people who are in a challenging circumstance, and I've seen people who have been involved in the project be really encouraged and really find hope in it, and purpose and involvement by being in the weekly meetings and by seeing that their opinion matters and that they can create something beautiful. And so, it's been really great seeing that. But also, I think it gives it's given me hope, and it's given me an encouraging thing to focus my energy and time on in terms of wanting to make a positive difference. So I'd love for you to partner with me in that. So we're printing these little A5 designs that were designed by the wonderful Rich Wells, who is around there helping out, our hero. He's amazing. He also did our Strong and Northern design with Henderson's, which is great. Oh, here he is.
Right. There you go.
Beautiful. Yeah, so we've got these, which we are giving out. Oh, and they've been embossed as well, look at that. So we're going to sign them. Look at that, wowzers. So you can take home your one today or give a donation of £100. Wanted to finally give a shout out to Unlimited. So these guys fund social purpose projects around the country, and they're basically throw money at you. So you can go up to £5,000. Erroneously, I only applied for 4,000 and got that. Should have applied for the full whack. But they're very supportive, and so if you've got any kind of social purpose project, then they're worth contacting, because it's easy money. Lastly, I want to completely abuse my position and shamelessly flaunt my own freelance design capabilities. So I run Printed by Us a day a week, or I should say more accurately, I help Printed by Us happen. But the rest of the week I do freelance design stuff, so if you need any branding or other design needs, then do get in touch. That is it. Thank you.